This is only part of the evaluation process. Our evaluation process starts actually when we purchase the horse. I personally go and will pick up the horse, and at that point we evaluate how well he leads in a strange situation. I note if he stands tied, and we also load him in the trailer and see how well he loads or unloads. I do make notes and rate each thing from 1 to 5, 5 being high, 1 being low. Aaron is taking this horse's temperature. We do take the rescue's temperature, and we'll do it daily up until past 1 month, at which point we feel that if they're not going to show any symptoms, they're probably not going to have anything wrong with them. The temperatures are normally taken in the stall, and they are not brought out if they have a temp. If he has a normal temperature, Aaron will then go and we will record his height. We will check his teeth and verify that he is the age that the Coggins said. Many times they'll put aged, which means the horse is over 10 or 12 years old in their opinion. This horse we rated about 12 years old. Teeth are not an exact science, so he could be anywhere 2 or 3 years older or 2 or 3 years younger. Probably we're usually pretty much on the money. Aaron is going to measure him with a stick to tell exactly how tall he is. And this horse measures 16 hands. After she's done this, she'll groom the horse. We do spend quite a bit of time with these horses to find out if they stand still, if they paw, if they have any likes or dislikes that could interfere with a small child or an inexperienced handler. This horse is tied a little bit higher than we normally tie him, and I'm not sure, because I wasn't in on this, whether he is fussy in the cross ties and moves around, or whether they just used him on the cross ties that we normally use for our show horses. He seems to be standing pretty well, but he isn't totally dead quiet. This horse probably will stand quieter after he's been worked and in a regular program, but as we saw earlier, he has been in rehab, which means he's been in a stall with very little done with him, maybe other than maybe hand walk in the last couple 3 weeks. So this horse feels extremely good and is ready to work. If he was put in a regular program, he probably would stand a lot quieter. Aaron goes through each and every brush to determine if he has one brush that he dislikes or would cause problems with. This horse does show a little bit of tendency to possibly be a little worried about stuff being around his head. Some of these horses get like this if they've been on the road, and with the harness bridles, there's a lot of the overcheck and the blinkers. It can be a little more difficult to bridle these horses than with the bridle that we use. Also, some people that have these horses are not as tall maybe as Aaron is, and it gets to be an issue. He does seem to worry about it a little bit, but he doesn't really do too much about it. Someone just opened the door in our barn. You could see the reflections, and it did cause him to look and move. This horse is a little active in the cross ties. If he'd come in this way, and this is the very first evaluation, I'd have to rate him a little bit lower, probably a 3 plus or a 4 minus, just because he does move. I don't think that he'll rate that way. I think he'll probably be a 4 or 5 when he's not fresh. We also test them to see if they'll move over if you ask them. It's important the horse responds to the handler. We make note of how hard he is to push around or ask him to stand or move. If an adult has trouble, small children will have even more trouble. You noticed Aaron threw the brush back there so it make noise. We try to see if he's overly jumpy with sounds. He does not seem to mind having his head touched, so he does not seem to have an issue. She moves the halter back and grooves behind it. He is a little tiny fussy. She just touched around his eye and removed something, and he seemed to stand all right. We try to always reinforce the horses with a treat or a pat. Just because we like the way it looks, we will brush their manes. At some point, we will clip the horses and rate them on their clipping. Most of the horses that we get in are very easy to handle on the ground, and they're also very easy to clip. Occasionally we get some that you just cannot clip, at which point we have to go through a process to teach them, if we have time, how to clip. And we do that by starting out, believe it or not, with our vacuum and get them used to the vacuum, and then we start with the clippers and just lay the clippers on them. And then after that, we start getting up closer to clip them. The process could take 2 to 3 weeks. We're never in a hurry. We want to make sure the horses are comfortable. It's very important to us also that the horses allow you to clean their feet, because this is something that is the hardest for some new riders to do. We do make note if they're hard to clean the feet, if it's just the back or if it's all of them. This is also a time you can tell if they're sore in the feet with thrush. We do check for thrush, and we do put medicine. We use bleach because we go through so much. It's not really medicine. We put bleach in their feet every day after we ride them. If a horse has bad thrush, we use a product called Quartermaster, which is actually used for mastitis for cattle. It cleans up thrush, that really deep thrush that gets up in their feet, a lot quicker and easier. But if we don't have particularly bad thrush, then we just use bleach. This horse seems to be standing quietly and doesn't seem to mind having his feet picked. He's allowing Aaron to pick up all of his feet. At this point, if he had thrush when he came in, which a lot of rescues do, after 5 months of being groomed in the stall and taken care of and medicine put in, he would not have any. Aaron then is going to take a towel, make sure he's not afraid of it. Not only for grooming, but when you finish your ride and you want to towel a horse off, some horses get flinchy with towels. If we find that any of our horses are afraid of towels or don't like our left hind foot cleaned, we do make note of that, so that when someone calls, we can pull out our book. We have a form that we fill out. We also walk away to see if they'll stand tied when someone's not there. He did paw a little bit, but again, I put that to the fact that he's been in a stall. Most of these horses have at some point bumped their legs. We put splint boots and bell boots on almost every horse. This particular horse, they put splint boots on, and I had them change it to leg wraps because he had some tendon issues. We usually don't use splint boots, we use leg wraps. Since I was not in the barn at this particular time, I did not realize it, so we had to take him back in before we did anything with him, put the leg wraps, which are more supportive. We do put bell boots on him to protect him. And I believe this horse has shoes in the front with a tendon issue, we try to keep shoes on to keep him well supported so that we don't re-injure it. This horse has been pin fired, which it's kind of an old remedy. Not really sure how well it works. It usually makes them so sore that you lay them up because they can't hardly move. And just the fact that you lay them up is what usually gets them healed. It's not uncommon for Amish horses to have been pin fired. We do put a strap on our German Martingale so that it doesn't hang down. Most of these horses have not been ridden in a German Martingale for years or ever, depending on how the saddlebred trainer would have started the horse. We use the heavy Western pads, helps distribute the weight so that we don't have any sores or get sore backs. I feel this is imperative, so a lot of the videos you see may not have this. It's strictly for video. We usually put a Cashel pad and a padded quilted pad. Also on these horses, when we first get them, we use a fuzzy girth, just in case some of these horses get a little cinchy as they've had the harness on, or somebody's been cranking them really tight in that area and they get a little worried. So we put a fuzzy girth on, and it helps spread the pressure out and not cause them any undue stress. After they've ridden in this 3 or 4 times, if we have no issues, we'll put them in a regular girth. Aaron is now lunging the horse. If you notice, he's got leg wraps on. We use lunging for 2 things. 1, to see if he knows how, which this horse does. And 2, to see if he's going to come unglued. The only accidents we've had with the over 800 horses that we've done have been 2. One horse appeared to not have been broke. Had we lunged him, we'd have realized that. He would have fussed a lot with the equipment. The second horse appeared to react to a girth as if he was what you call a cinchy horse, but to the extreme. We've had a couple horses that there are nerves that run along where the girth goes, and they cannot handle any pressure on those. This horse has lunged and did not seem to care about the saddle. We do not lunge our horses a long time. We merely use it to make sure that they appear to know what a saddle is and a girth, and that they've lunged. If a horse does not lunge well, the chances are it may not have been in a saddlebred barn. It's not necessarily true, but most saddlebred people teach them to lunge in long line. If a horse has been raised by the Amish, many of them do not know how to lunge. It's only an indicator for us. It doesn't mean anything. We do work our horses to stand quiet and to allow the rider to get onto the mounting block. This horse does not seem to be bothered by it. If he is, we'll have the handler on the ground merely cup his hand over the horse's eye so that he can't see the rider. Aaron is very quiet and sits softly, and we let them walk off immediately. Some of these horses have not been ridden in years. If we're not sure of a horse, we have a handler hold on to it for at least one time around the ring, and we let them look and see what they've got to do, where they have to go. At which time, if the rider has a problem, we have a handler there that can help stop it so that we don't get a rider injured. This horse is doing very well, even though he feels good. And if you notice, we always have a lot of dogs around. Believe it or not, the dogs don't seem to bother the horses. What bothers the horses is when the riders get upset with the dogs. We're letting him look. We had previously had our stalls in the middle of the ring, and we put them down to the end so we could have better videoing. And any horse that's been worked in the ring, and this horse has been hand walked in there, that was kind of a shocker to find the whole end of the ring look different. You'll notice that she asks the handler to let the horse go, and she continues walking. At this point, I evaluate whether he's a natural flat walker, and this horse appears to be. At this point in time, we don't ask them to set their heads. Many of the videos or the pictures you see is just what the horses do naturally. It's not Saddlebred Rescue's goal to try to make these horses into show horses. So we let them do whatever they need to do. The horse did feel good. Aaron let him move forward while keeping him controlled. He is a little fussy in the bridle. He probably needs his teeth done. But he did quiet right down. I find this horse very attractive and actually quite showy. He has a plate on, so he has pretty good motion. I will say he's a little excited. Aaron will make sure that she's on the correct diagonal to see if we can post them. That's another thing I look for. Some horses, you can only post one diagonal. If you watched Aaron's leg, you'll see she's pushing him a little bit. We do not ever work these horses hard the first time. We don't go around more than once or twice. We just want to know what they're doing. This horse is going to have a short ride because of his injury. We don't want to re-injure him. He again came down to a flat walk, which is a good sign. This horse would score pretty high on that. If I was scoring this horse today with him standing, I would probably not hold true to this because I think a lot of his playing around and excitedness is strictly pent-up energy. If this horse had come in and had been on the road or we had him outside and he was acting like that, then we would put a lower score and make sure he was a horse that we got in a little more often to help see if that was a problem with him or if it's just him being in a new place. We do not give our horses typically a long period of time before we test them out and ride them. I feel horses have a very long memory, and what we're relying on is what they were taught in the past. This horse is what I would call a little crooked. He's wanting to drift off the rail. That's not him being naughty. If you'll see his head's turned to the rail, but he's not crashing into the rail, then he's following his shoulder. This happens sometimes. Some trainers do this. Sometimes the Amish do that. Like for this horse, his shoulder's pushed to the right, which would mean as a driver, the person driving would be holding his head to keep him out of the ditch. So he may be a horse that drifted away from traffic, and so they held his head to keep him from going in the ditch, thus reinforcing the horse being slightly crooked with the body. It's not an injury. It's a training issue. Some horses it doesn't bother them, some it does. This horse is just a little harder to guide on, keep on the rail. But it's not a bad issue. We do take note at that time whether the horse is straight or needs to be worked. The rider will feel that he's heavy on the left side, but it's not a mouth problem. It's a body that he's a little crooked. His shoulder, as you can see there, is pushed away from the rail. And you fix it through the mouth, but it's not that he's heavy or dead on the left side of the mouth. It's merely that his shoulders pushed to the right. This horse has been cantered in the past. He did appear to know a cue. If he makes a mistake, which he did, he swap leads behind. We stop him and start him again. At this point, Aaron is working on a cue. We use a kiss cue, and we start teaching them that the kissing means cantering. He's a little rough at this. He feels really good. I feel he's behaving pretty well for a horse that's been in. This ride, as I told you, will be short. When we start working this horse more, before we start doing a lot of cantering, we will work on getting him straight, getting his body lined up. You might say he needs an alignment. This direction, because his shoulder's pushed to the right, he'll stay to the rail better. It could make him a little harder to get a canter start. May or may not. Erin's going to collect him up. She doesn't want to surprise him, so you'll watch the hands. There, she touched him. She's shortening her reins, getting ready. She's going to lift him up, start turning him quietly, and then start cueing him. And as I predicted, he had a little problem this way. Nothing bad. He started to take it. Just needs a little more reinforcement. Again, we do not get after them. That was better. He did remember. We do not punish a horse for not knowing. Whoa, feels good. If you could hear Erin, she's laughing. And that's something I'll have to make note of and see if that's an issue with him or if that's just him feeling good and getting a little unbalanced. He picked up his canter. Horses are much smarter than you'd think. We are going to try to canter past that place again. It's important that you don't let him get by with it. We did not punish the horse for that. He broke. It's a little harder for him to go around the canters. He may have been corners. He may have been a horse that's been cantered more on the straightaways. He didn't buck. He did break. As I said, this is not a training session. This is an evaluation session. He appears to have a little bit of trouble cantering around the corners, which is something we'll have to work on. Always keeping in mind that his tendons are just freshly healed, and we don't want to stress him. The thing I like about this horse is he always comes down to a flat walk. He seems to have a very positive attitude. He's starting to use one leg, his left front leg, a little more than his right, so it's time to finish. We always test to see if they back up. Almost all of the Amish horses do. That's another test. Now, he came in with driving shoes and a note that said he did ride and drive. He will be brought into the center, at which point Erin dismounts, and we do actually rate if he's easy to dismount. We use a reward system a lot. And he stood quietly to dismount. Erin had a treat in her